Namaste. I'm Marg, and I love yoga, and I love to share yoga with others. And one of the most important reasons why I like to share yoga with others is because of how much it can do for our mental and emotional health. In this culture where we all live with a fair bit of stress, there are many different things that we can do for our mental health. Medications, counseling, change our lifestyle, etc. And I believe that yoga embodies all of these. Just as we can strengthen our physical muscles by exercising them, we can strengthen our mental and emotional muscles. And yoga does this. The Sanskrit word yoga means union. And in our practice of yoga, we unite body, mind, and spirit. And we strengthen each to support the other. So this is a very basic practice that maybe you can do at home, and I hope you like it. Let's start. Just sit in any comfortable position. I'm going to get a block here, but you can sit crisscross or even on a chair, whatever feels good. And we'll just start with warming and moving. So some big shoulder circles. I'll just show you from the front, and then here's what I like to do along with my shoulder circles is some kind of cats and cows. And you can find how your breath most wants to support these circles. I like to breathe in and out, taking smooth breaths. So just carry on a couple more breaths with your shoulder circles and come back to neutral and just rooting down into your sit bones and rising up through your crown. Let's take a nice side stretch. So set one hand down, reach up, try and keep your front body facing forward and find lots of length in that long side of your torso. Maybe you like to look up or just let your head hang. And then come on over to the other side. So we're just warming and coming into feeling more at home in the body. At this point, you might be early morning, or it might be later in the day when you're feeling tired. So we're kind of waking up or warming up. And you can shake all that out. And then a twist is always a nice thing to do. We're moving our spine in lots of different directions. So you can kind of press into one thigh, sitting up tall, and slowly use that to lever yourself around in a twist. And slowly let that go and twist to the other side. Try and keep your shoulders sinking away from your ears. And reaching up tall through your crown. And let it go. I kind of think of some of the things we do in yoga as uppers and downers. And if we're feeling anxious, there are some wonderful calming things that we can do in yoga. Lots of things with our breath and with our body. And if we're feeling kind of like we just can't quite get with it, wake up. There are lots of things we can do for energizing. So here's something I really like, a yoga upper. I call this puppy panting. It's a little crazy, but give it a try, see how you like it. I know it's, yeah, so you really feel some energy in here, and it's got the enthusiasm of that little puppy. Take it with you, keep it in your back pocket. Maybe it'll be something that will pump you up when you need it. And now more of a downer is child's pose. So in anxiety, we tend to kind of always be thrusting forward and in, sending that energy forward. Let's calm that down in child's pose. So we're going to take a wide-legged child pose, knees far apart, settle your hips down, and let your head rest heavily into the mat. So if you're comfortable, just stay where you are. Some people might want to have some extra elevation, like a block under your forehead, or even just your two hands or your fists. Maybe even a rolled blanket might feel good under your hips, if that's, so you can kind of set that under your butt there and settle. But the goal is to feel really comfortable. I'm going to talk a little more while you continue to rest more and more deeply with each breath into your child's pose. So with each inhale, let your belly just descend down to the floor and let your body take in a delicious breath, just a natural, delicious breath. And with each exhale, allow those same areas of your body to kind of gently hug that breath all the way out. And with each exhale, let yourself feel a little heavier. And at any time, if it's really uncomfortable for some reason, then just feel free to change it up. Just come forward and rest on your front body. Just whatever feels good here. So in child's pose, your head is lower than your heart. And generally, poses in which your head is lower than your heart are poses that are very calming to your central nervous system, activating the parasympathetic side of our autonomic nervous system, thus helping to calm where our psyches may be driving us ahead of ourselves. Take a few more breaths here in child pose. And if you like, you can stay in this position for the next few moments, or feel free to transition to anything else comfortable. And I'd like to talk a bit about Ujjayi breath, or ocean breath. So where you are in child pose, or wherever you are, continue to inhale and exhale through your nose, and then start to create a resistance deep down in your throat. Just where you would clear your throat. Try and hold on to that little grip so that when you inhale through there, it will start to sound like you're snoring. Same thing with the exhale. Hear yourself snoring. And it becomes something like an inner massage. And that focus that it takes to maintain that can be very, very centering and calming. And as much as you like, you can continue Ujjayi breath through your practice. Takes a little more intention, a little more effort to pull that breath in and send that breath back out. And Ujjayi breath is something that can be very calming when a person needs it. I've had times when I've been extremely nervous about something that I have to do, and finding myself get all uptight, shoulders up, and everything getting like shallow breath. And Ujjayi breath and bring me to my center. So if you want to continue with Ujjayi, that's an option wherever you are. Come to table pose, so that's on all fours. Shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. And get comfortable in that table. Just imagine that it's a strong table. You can send your crown forward and your tailbone back. Imagine that your whole torso is kind of hugging, and it's a well-supported table here. And then from table, you can inhale to a cow stretch, and exhale to cat. Something like what we were doing with our shoulder circles. Move slowly through, transitioning from one to the other. And acknowledge as you're moving this wondrous spine that we have, not only giving us the structural support and the ability to move in so many directions, but carrying with it that central column from the brain throughout the body, carrying messages and receiving messages. And the healthier we can keep our spine, the more healthy we can keep our nervous system as well. So really good value in working our spine, and yoga does that so well. Just take a pause now and just feel free to kind of wag your tail in opposite directions, maybe reach a hip to an ear on one side, and slowly do the same thing on the other side, and then just take some time to move that whole torso any way you'd like. Imagine you've got a big paintbrush attached to your tailbone and you're making some big circles on the canvas. Same thing with your crown. Just kind of celebrate movement. And when you're finished with that, come on any way you like to standing on your mat. So some of you, if you've been doing yoga, you might want to come up into a downward dog, whatever you like. Just find your way to standing. And we're going to take a moving pose here called crane dance. So this is actually from Qigong. And it's known as one of the most effective and beneficial movements in Qigong. The system of moving the energy of the body, thus healing and opening. So on an inhale, lift from your elbows, keep your palms kind of facing the floor, and then exhale down. And this movement can come to look quite graceful. And cranes actually do dance before they take off into flight. And then to add leg movement to this, find yourself balancing into one foot, and when you're ready, on your inhale, lift that other knee up, and then bring it around, and if you lose your balance, so be it, and down on your exhale. Other knee up, and around and down. And as you steady yourself and breathe in your crane dance, you can come to more security in your balance and the way your center of gravity is moving. Letting your brain follow and learn. Okay, so you can do crane dance anytime. Also can be very calming and centering. And now let's just take a mountain pose known as Tadasana in Sanskrit. So it's just standing, but can be so much involved in conscious standing. So let's stand consciously here. I like to have my feet hip width apart. Some people like to have their big toes touching. See what you like best. And wherever we are, find your feet fairly much parallel, as if your toes are pointing straight ahead. And now lift those toes up, spread them out wide, and lay them back down. Maybe you can lay them down one at a time. Maybe that's something to work at. My big toe on my left foot never likes to spread out, so I give it a little help. And let them be soft wherever you lay them down. So they're kind of spread out on the mat, and they're soft. And then think about 4 corners of your feet. So you've got the big toe mount, 2 corners of your heels, and your pinky toe mound. So that big fleshy part, the base of your big toe and your pinky toe. Think about pressing those 4 corners equally into the mat, and intentionally. And you can sway a little just to get that idea. Nothing's perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And now think about the ball of your foot kind of sliding backwards towards your heel. And it might just be a thought, or it might actually happen. Those arches, you've got an arch coming from each toe back towards your heel. Those arches can power up just like our hands can function. So let those arches be active as you press into those 8 points. And then reach down with your tailbone, extending it down toward the mat consciously. Let your legs feel alive, as if the muscles of your legs are hugging into the bones. See if you like that. Or maybe you're trying to feel like you want to bend your knees, but you're not bending them. There's something resisting that bend. Okay, so hanging on to all of that, you're kind of strong up to here. And now think about those low ribs, keeping them in. So imagine your kidneys are kind of pressing up your back into a backpack. And at the same time, as that's happening, lift that sternum up nice and proud. And on the top of that lovely spine that you've got now, that naturally curved, beautiful spine, tall, just balance your head. And that usually for most of us means we're tipping it, we're pressing it back a little farther than we're used to. So think about tucking your chin in and down a little and getting long up the back of your neck. I'll kind of give you a sideways demo here. So normally, yeah, a lot like this. And now we're gonna get a little longer right up the back of our neck here. So think about how that feels to be a mountain. And it might feel kind of rigid and contrived at this moment, but as we go on practicing mountain, it can become more and more a natural part of how we carry ourselves. I like to think of mountain in walking, in sitting, in bike riding, in going up steps, down steps. It's a very beneficial thing to carry into everyday life. And the more you practice, the more unconscious it becomes. Particularly, I like the lifting of the chest. So when we're feeling down, we often have a very caved-in posture. And we can remind ourselves to, in one way of saying it, fake it to make it. So rising into mountain pose can remind those parts of our memory that, no, yes, we have strength, we have agency. Make it with your body, and that spirit can follow. Let's take from here some sun breath. So sweeping your arms up in a delicious rise. Take a full breath in. You can look up between your hands. Touch your hands together and then bring them down past your nose, past your heart, all the way down, and take it again. Inhale up. Exhale all the way down. This time, if you like, use it as a metaphor. Think of what you would like to be gathering and drawing deeply into your center. Let's take one more. And on this one, let's bow with a long spine. So hinge at your hips and just fold. You can keep your knees bent as much as feels good. Hang there a little and shake out. And then press into those four corners and come on all the way back up. And bring hands to your heart. Let's close this practice, coming back down onto our mat. And I'd like to suggest here a flowing bridge pose. So many of you might recognize a bridge pose kind of looking like this. And this fluid bridge that I'm suggesting, and that's a great pose, so go for it. And a fluid bridge, I like to sweep through as I rise up, sweep my arms through 180 degrees and then bring them back down. And you can try that, inhaling up and exhaling all the way back down. Sending your heart towards the wall beyond your head. Keep pressing the back of your skull down into the mat. Maybe one more flowing bridge. Or maybe you've been holding a stationary bridge and that's cool. Maybe lift it just a little higher. And now let yourself down one vertebra at a time slowly and rest. Just stay here for a few breaths. Let your knees lean against each other. You can rest your hands wherever feels comfortable. And allow your hips to sink heavily down into the mat. And your shoulders. And maybe you'd like to stay here for our relaxing time now that we've come to the end of our practice. Maybe you'd like to stretch out, spread out, and take up more space. You can extend your legs long, spread your feet wide apart, stretch your arms out. Wherever you are, let yourself softly sink and give way to the support of your mat. The more you release, the more you can be supported. I will gently leave you here. Stay as long as you want. When you're about to come out, make sure you gradually deepen your breath and stretch and just get yourself back to movement very slowly. And if you have enjoyed this practice, maybe feel free to look up any information about our offerings here at Queen Street Yoga. And I wish you a pleasant day. Namaste.